You blocked the number. You waited to feel free. Instead, your whole body braced, like you'd committed a crime and were waiting to get caught. You left the house a long time ago. The house hasn't left you. Here's what nobody warns you about. The hardest part of walking away from a narcissistic parent comes after you've already gone. It's everything the silence starts showing you. The quiet doesn't heal you at first. It hands you a mirror. 6 things come into focus in that silence, usually in this order. The 6th is the one that finally lets you set the whole thing down, and it's not the one you'd expect. We'll get there. 1. The guilt was never proof of anything. First, the guilt. It doesn't feel like an emotion. It feels like evidence. Like feeling this bad is proof you did something wrong. A holiday comes. Your thumb hovers over their name. Everything in you says, call, apologize, fix it. But that pull is older than this decision. That house wired the alarm at age 4, when losing a parent's approval felt like losing everything. Bessel van der Kolk showed how that circuitry is laid down before you have words. The guilt isn't a signal you did something wrong. It's a smoke alarm that never learned the fire went out. 2. The thing they called a flaw was a skill. For years, they told you that you were too much, too sensitive, too anxious, so you believed it. But watch what you actually do. You clock the shift in someone's voice before they finish. You feel a room's temperature change as you walk in. You read, "Can we talk?" And your stomach drops through the floor. Everyone kept calling it a flaw. It was the most sophisticated survival skill you owned, built in a house where the mood could turn without warning. The room was never safe, so you learned to read it before it could hurt you. 3. You apologize before you even know what happened. Someone raises their voice or goes quiet, and you're already sorry. The word's out before your brain knows what you supposedly did. You rehearse a 2-line text for 20 minutes to get it right. You over-explain choices no one questioned. Pete Walker gave this a name, the fawn response, the 4th thing a nervous system does under threat after fight, flight, and freeze. When the person with all the power is unpredictable, being agreeable is the only thing that buys safety. You learned that being easy to love was the rent you paid to be allowed to stay. 4. The grief is for someone who never existed, and then the grief arrives, and it doesn't move like normal grief. You keep hoping. You catch yourself imagining the phone call where they finally understand, the birthday card that finally says the right thing. Lindsay Gibson has a name for this, the healing fantasy, the story a child writes in that house, where the parent finally wakes up and becomes who you needed. No contact is the moment that fantasy dies, and that death is the grief. The parent you're mourning was never coming. You built them in your head because a child has to put their love somewhere. If a video has ever put words to something you've carried your whole life but could never name, that's the entire reason this channel exists. Subscribe. We do this every week. Because what comes next is the part most people never let themselves reach, the 2 realizations that finally let you put it down. 5. Calm feels like the pause before impact. Here's the one nobody sees coming. Your life gets good. Steady relationship, stable job, nothing on fire. And instead of relief, you feel a low hum of dread, like you're bracing for a shoe you can't see. Some people even manufacture a small crisis, just to feel normal. Your nervous system learned that quiet had a second meaning, the space between explosions, the held breath before the door slammed. So calm doesn't land as safe. It lands as the setup. Your body remembers what your mind forgot. That peace, in your house, usually meant someone was about to lose it. There's a reason none of these switch off just because you moved out. Every single one was a survival skill before it was ever a symptom. Your body built them to keep a child alive in a house that wasn't safe, and a body does not delete what once kept it alive. Which is why the last realization lands so differently from the rest. It's the moment you stop asking how to delete any of it, and start asking who finally takes care of the kid who learned all of it in the first place. 6. No one is coming to fix it, and that's where it ends. The last one is the quietest and the heaviest. No apology is coming, no moment where they sit you down and get it. You can rehearse that conversation for the rest of your life. Some do, for decades. You were never really waiting for them to say sorry. You were waiting to matter to someone. And one morning it lands. You can be that someone. You can go back for the kid who scanned every room and apologized for existing, and stay. That's what Pete Walker called reparenting, becoming on purpose the steady adult you needed and never got. So here's what's actually sitting underneath all 6. Every one of these, the guilt, the flinching, the apologizing, the dread, started as love with nowhere safe to land. It turned inward and learned to survive as you. Everything you've spent years trying to fix in yourself started in a house that never felt safe enough to simply be a child in. You spent your whole childhood trying to become someone they could finally love. Going no contact is the first time you get to become someone you can, without the house telling you what that's allowed to look like. If you saw yourself in these, that flicker of recognition is worth trusting. It's the sound of something that never made sense finally clicking into place. So, which one landed hardest? 1 through 6? Drop the number below. And if you want to tell me which house you grew up in, I read every comment. One more thing. If someone you love went quiet on their family, and everyone around them decided they were the villain for it, send them this. It might be the first time anyone's explained them to themselves. Subscribe. We translate what your body already knows into language your mind can finally use. We do this every week.